Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to round one of the Quarantine Cup right here on Vanilla Stream. It is an early start for our matches today, depending on where you are. I was going to say right now it is just crossing that 6 a.m. mark in Los Angeles, where Vanilla is streaming from, and that's also where our server is hosted for this one-game series between teams Quickcleans and Insaccs. I am Rails Barlow, one of your two casters for this morning's game, and also one of your tournament moderators for the North American region. And I am so lucky to be joined for the first time on a shoutcast by the man in charge of the Quarantine Cup 2020, Mr. iPat. iPat, how are you on this lovely day?
Hello. One of the men in charge. It's a collaborative effort from the whole team of moderators and the admin. Glad to be here. It's set up to be a fantastic game today, Rails.
Really is, and one of those reasons is that I am obviously a participant in this tournament, and I am all for a good home and away game, but right now we do have a one-game series set up because Team Quickcleans is from the European scene and Team Insaccs is from the New Zealand scene, if I'm correct. I think you know a good deal more about them probably than I do, but there are a couple names here on both sides that I recognize, and the Haunted Forest is, I think, the perfect venue for a one-game high-ping showdown.
It's going to be a good game. Obviously, we've got one of the favorites in the tournament, G2 Quickcleans, who are currently seed 2 versus Insaccs, who are they've got tournament experience, but they're a fairly new established Aussie team / New Zealand team, if you'd like to call it that, who are ranked or seeded 21.
Right, and this is one of those situations where it's like, okay, there might be a huge discrepancy in the seedings right there, but I think of all the games that we've seen so far in the first round, just because this is a one-game series and because there is so much experience on both teams, that this could be one of those games where the end result is a lot closer than the original gap, you know?
Yeah, and when we were planning this tournament, Caution and I, in terms of seedings, we knew that there'd be some teams that we were a little iffy about in terms of where to seed. This is the Swiss stage, especially round one, is a good opportunity to, set that platform and really prove to the admins and other teams of the tournament, really, of your team's capabilities. So, Insaccs, for example, the team was ranked fairly towards the rough end of the stick, but granted that they play well and show us a great performance today, they could easily prove themselves to be within the top 15.
Indeed, very easily they could. And now we are just waiting on ITOS for Team Insaccs to ready up. And so it's Insaccs or is it Insaccs? Like, how do you pronounce what kind of...
I think it's just Insaccs. So
Insaccs? Okay, good. Because it sounds almost like Insaccs, but also it's not, and it's like I'm gonna be fighting with that for the entirety of the cast, unless I decide to call them Team Isaac. But speaking of things that we have already seen on this map here, Haunted Forest has provided an amazing introduction, I would say, for this tournament. Not only because Haunted Forest as a map has been around the competitive community since the original custom campaign tournament, if I'm not mistaken, but iPat, from what we've seen, there are a fair number of ways for this map to surprise you if you haven't practiced it well enough.
Most definitely. I'd have to agree with you. We've had some teams play certain tank quite well. Some tanks have dominated in some of the stages, and some teams have decided to AI the tanks. So it's been a whole mixture of battles going on, especially with your team, Rails. It's a bit of a shout out. The old boys coming back to play and absolutely dominate their first round. So I'll give you guys a shout out for really showing that you guys are still in it to win it.
Oh yeah, that was a fun game that we saw yesterday. A lot of these matches have been interesting, and I personally, my brain is still on the performance by Team 5MO from last night, but my brain's gonna be off that real fast because this match that we have in front of us right now between teams Quickcleans and Insaccs is going live right here. Team Quickcleans on the Survivor side first, and Insaccs on the Special Infected. We're going to have a tank up in the hands of ITOS Salami just about 32% of this map. We'll do a quick roster rundown after this first hit because we have a Hunter spawn on the hill, leading in for his Charger friend that lands a double charge into the back there. The charge completing as well, with a jockey landing on the charge target for a fair amount of damage from Team Insaccs so far. And so on Survivor side for Team Quickcleans, we have Thug Life, Josie, Yumi, and Ern Sugawa. And who do we have for Team Insaccs?
On Insaccs, we've got the Kiwi boys, Pirate Key, who are actually brothers, for those of you who didn't know. Brothers playing in the same team together, as well as Itos is their fellow Kiwi man, and we've got Mesk representing the Aussie squad.
That is awesome. You love to see those kind of team and particularly family dynamics, I suppose, on the same side in a match like. But that first hit did a fair amount of damage. Another one is already in the queue for Team Insaccs right now, and it's going to be a Charger, Hunter, Smoker, and a Boomer. Survivors looking to push their way forward. They're going to get double boomed though, with the Smoker pull going out in the back. Hunter gets skeeted on the intercept attempt, but that's a charge going forward as well. And this is beautiful special infected play so far from Team Insaccs.
I am actually quite surprised to see a good amount of coordination rolling out from Team Insaccs. You know, they are really proving that ping isn't really an issue for them at the moment. Although both teams have roughly got the same amount of ping as we roll into the tank.
So, curious question for you as we have this first tank. What does the score show as being for you right now? Because for me right now it says they have 369 points and the points are 128. Okay, so there's a little bit of an error in the scoring here. Team Quickcleans is actually like 200 some points underneath what's being shown on the scoreboard. We'll fix that.
We'll get that.
We'll fix that on the next round. And Itos here is actually working in a hittable. He has gone to get the car from the bridge and is now moving this in. The Charger sacks itself. Hunter and a Smoker. Quickcleans are going to fight this on the truck, which is one of the nice places to take it. And I bet you they are not quite aware as of yet that this tank has gotten its hittable, but he is going to be bringing this in. And as soon as they see it, they might have to change their minds.
Well, they've positioned themselves fairly aggressive at the moment, trying to get a bit of pre-commit chip by Josie, who opts to fall back. Now they're actually running the tank back to the safe room, trying to prevent a hittable from getting a lucky in-cap or so.
Yeah, it's going to be AI. There's absolutely nothing that Team Insaccs can do about this unless he manages to miraculously keep sight. And that's the thing about that, where as soon as I saw them still at the van, it's like, if they know that hittable is coming in, there's no reason for them not to fall back. Just way too much of a high-risk play to stay where they were. They had the ability to get back, and the hit wasn't able to intercept them. However, AI tank with 2,000 HP is pushing them back towards the safe room. They're going to be staring down the barrel of a tri-cap with Boom here, but this Hunter is already almost dead, so Team Quickcleans are going to quickly kill that jockey. Boomer gets popped as well. That is a Hunter getting skeeted, and this should be a no-hitter AI tank right here coming in. Great way for Team Quickcleans to take back control. What do you think about that, iPad?
I actually think Quickcleans were on the back foot a little. I think the fact that they had to push into the safe room just shows a little that we're a little intimidated by the SI coordination that they were facing early on into the round. So I think it was a safe decision to take it back into the safe room. A little disappointing, I suppose. I wanted to see some aggression coming out from Quickcleans being one of the top seed teams, but I suppose I've seen plenty of AI tanks already into round one, so I'm not really surprised. But yeah, I would have wanted to see some kind of aggression, but that being said, your tank well fought, a no-hitter as well, so.
Yeah, and in a situation where you're on, like, just around 200 ping for it, I can understand the decision to go back and not try to duke that hittable. Yeah, that Charger's going to miss, and now that Hunter is going to land for a split second onto Nick with a single boom onto Rochelle, but even that hit, I would say, is a little bit more staggered than what we were seeing before that tank.
Definitely, and prior to going into this match, I would have expected that there would have been a lot of favoritism towards, I suppose, one of the main competitors in Q3 2020 with Quickcleans. Maybe you can shed some light, being one of the finalists in the Europe Nations tournament just previously, Rails rather.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, in terms of the Left 4 Dead 2 competitive community, there are few duos, I think, more recognizable than Josie and Thug Life together. That's going to be a Smoker getting killed and a Jockey killed, by the way, as we were talking about that. You know, they've played together for the better part of at least the past, like, 9 or 10 years. That Charger has absolutely no hope, and neither does that Spitter, aside from a couple picks of damage there on the back end. And yeah, playing as Team, I believe it was just as Team Germanics. Team Germanics got second place in the EU Nations Cup that just ended prior to the start of quarantine, where Team G2, who was playing as Team Russia, defeated Josie and Bug's team in the grand finals here. So they might be out for some heavy revenge in the Quarantine Cup 2020 against Team G2. So that will be a storyline that we'll be following over the course of the tournament. Right now, in terms of this game, Quickcleans trying to even, you know, pretty much put even more pressure on to Team Insaccs from that tank shutdown. And now we do have a hit coming out from the back with a smoker getting self-cleared right there by Yumi. We have that Boomer going out in the front, landing onto Rochelle. Boomer now does get popped on the left-hand side after a quick jockey ride, but honestly, iPad, after that tank, I sense a little bit of a change in the game's temperature just because of how Team Quickcleans are playing right now.
I think Team Insaccs might be a little flustered about what happened with that tank, and you can see a bit of lacking coordination with the SI at the moment, so they really have to make sure that they're mentally in the game throughout, because once you lose that mental headspace, it kind of just goes on a downhill slope from there. So at the moment, we're looking at Quickcleans with 800 bonus, which is quite hefty.
Yeah, and that delay spit in front is going to hopefully open up the opportunity for a quad for Team Insaccs, but I'm not 100% sure that they're going to have the time to do this. Could be a Boomer, too.
Could be a Boomer. I just can't remember what they just sacked towards the end. They are setting up for a death charger up ahead. Hunter pre-spawning around the corner, trying to maybe pick someone off with the charger. Land, the charger does spawn, but it gets Coach on the edge. If he tops onto the ledge, he might be able to get a death.
Oh, no! Wow, that was such a close charge there. Almost going over the side. I thought he was going to try to go for a bowling charge first, but I think if he had landed that, he would have been able to just get that survivor off as well. But that being said, Team Quickcleans are now going to push forward and take this drop, you know, and that's actually going to be a scream coming out from Coach, but no real damage on that, I don't think. One of these things about Haunted Forest is that obviously there are many added haunted elements to it in terms of ghost faces and noises and a bunch of other stuff like that. But right now, unfortunately for Team Insaccs, those were the scarier things on that hit for Team Quickcleans. That 2-2 doing really no work. And for a one-game series where you have both teams playing at around, you know, between 150 and 200 ping, that's a great start for Team Quickcleans as they do make the safe room for a total first map score of 1,497. No, not 1,497.
We're gonna have to subtract that.
1,256 points. That's the accurate score. Okay.
Maybe we'll just take a note of that as we move on to the second round to change schools.
Exactly, yeah. So this is still a great round in terms of getting almost 1,300 points. Not quite the 1,500 here. It might have just been a couple hundred extra points for the sake of, I don't know, for the sake of somebody doing something on the server prior to the match starting. But either way, that's the kind of start that you're looking for Team Quickcleans. And the question now, iPad, is how does Team Insaccs do the same thing? And is there a way for them to stay a step ahead of that tank if that other tank decides to bring his hittable in?
They're just going to have to take a one step at a time, Rails. They're just going to have to shut down SI, make sure they're trading fire, and really stay one step ahead of the game. Maybe pushing when the spawns are down, trying to take those narrow chokes, as well as maybe showing some aggression to that tank. I don't know how they decide to fight this tank. Maybe they'll also take it back in the safe room. I'm not too sure if I know ITOS to pull off a strat like that, but I'm quite interested to see what his mental gameplay will be.
Yeah, and we'll see how the special inspector called as well right there, because in a situation like this on a custom map, a lot of it really does come down to the decision making by the teams based on their map knowledge and how well they can do things together based on those two things, you know? So we'll see what Team Quickcleans is able to do on this first hit with the Hunter Spitter, Jockey Charger going in, Hunter landing in the back to start off. Charger is going to get shut down before it can roll on that pin. And so far, that is a better take on the first hit than what we saw in the last half, but as we said, though, this tank is the make or break point right here. And when you've had a situation like that where you had a tank go AI, you weren't able to get the hittable in, the survivor team sort of outplayed you there in terms of positioning, you know, the most important thing is to take each hit and each tank and each situation in the game one step at a time as its own thing, I would say.
And Team Insaccs do have a chance to make some efforts to coming back on this round even, so that they can't count themselves out of this game as of yet. They just need to, like I said, take one step at a time. As this next hit rolls in with a Smoker Hunter landing charger, also that separation, double burn with the charger pulling off 2 pounds.
That is the kind of special effective coordination that you expect to see from Team Quickcleans here, I would say. Beautiful momentary triple tap, Charger getting a pound, and now the question is, you know, with this tank up into the hands of Sing for Team Quickcleans, we'll see exactly how he elects to do this. But I don't think I hadn't seen that hittable play before, actually, at least in the matches that I saw. But now we're gonna see it again, it looks like, because this tank is gonna knock this car through this alley as this hit goes in. Hunter landing for 6 damage on the top there of that truck. Jockey running around in front too. Boomer staying in queue, and now here's their time to make the decision, iPad.
I haven't seen a tank force a car through the bottom side of the tunnel yet. I don't think it's going to be as easy as the tank is thinking, and clearly you can see the tank struggle to get this car in there. It seems to be, so this might be actually quite fortunate for Team Insaccs, where the tank won't be able to commit with the car, and it seems like it's just about to give up and push in without a hittable. So this might be favorable for Team Insaccs. We've also got a 2-2 set up on the truck and on the floor.
Yeah, that tunnel was not designed for that kind of driving strategy, I'm fairly sure. Not at all. And now, as you did mention, you know, this area gets a lot better for survivors when there is no hittable employed, and Sing is going to have to commit this tank.
They're doing the
right
same
now, but
thing.
Survivors...
Same thing.
Okay, but
they faked it.
They juked him out and now have come back to the front. I was going to say, with a hit up there, that's a dangerous thing to do. And now they are going to see a single pull go out right there early for this initial corner onto iToss. The tank's going to be knocking him around. It's down to under 2k. Smoker repulls. Boomer does land a single boom, but this tank is down to under 1,000 HP. That is going to be a punch going out. Charger is going to whiff, and that is a dead tank. That was real close, though. That was close to being catastrophic. Like, if that Charger landed, that might have been a lot more damage, but instead, as you mentioned, it is just one in-cap and a dead tank. If they can preserve this bonus, they'll be right in it for map 2.
And I think the little game strategy of faking to push into the safe room, if you had realized, so you kind of forced the SI ghosts or the SI to change their positions, which also caused a bit of a momentary lag in spawning up and sending the SI in. So that was a bit of a good strategy by Team Insaccs, who actually they tried to fire pretty well. They all shot the tank, and eventually the tank died without doing too much damage on the Survive team.
Yeah, I think both teams have positives to take away from that tank. In that sense, you know, no hittable, so the tank was still able to get it down. We got a little bit more damage off of it, but on the Survivor side, you're just hoping you can take the rest of this hit cleanly. That's going to be a Jockey landing in the back, and a Hunter covering for the dual cap, but no spit down on top of that, so a little bit of damage, and the Charger also did manage to miss there on that hit. Going to be going for a despawn now as the Survivors push their way through, but so far, I mean, I would say Quickcleans played a better first round overall, but Insaccs is right there with them. They need to be really careful, though, because on this high ping, these couple of hits coming up now where it's going to be shorter distances between the SI spawns and the Survivors, they can be a lot more threatening on red ping, obviously.
Yeah, Team Quickcleans definitely had a cleaner first round in terms of Survivor game and a bit of SI coordination, but that being said, Insaccs are actually doing a decent job as the Smoker lands on Coach, also cleared quite quickly, but a spit charge landing on Pyro, which will do a substantial amount of damage to some damage bonus, I suppose. 2-boom finishing that off too.
Right, and Meth right now is sitting just over that. Actually, now he's underneath 40 HP. I was going to say that is going to put one person permanently slow until they find another set of pills. And in a situation like this, where there's still about, I don't know, give or take 20% of the map's ground to cover, right? Or actually, I would say 2/5 of the map, so maybe 40% of the map's ground. Yeah, like, that can be really detrimental to the Survivor's health, because areas like this are not as suited for them when they are underneath all the SI spawns. And that's exactly what we're going to see now with a double boom coming in. Jockey going for the back. Charger's going to land as well 25. On a 25 damage pounce. This is exactly what I feared for Insaccs on this, as that Jockey is also not getting cleared. And with that down now, that's going to give Team Quickcleans another hit in almost the exact same spot.
Big hit rolling out from Team Quickcleans. That's like what you want to see when you're watching some Survivor gameplay. Big 25 landing, good boom landing, and a charge landing. That was a great hit.
iToss is also black and white now. That's the other problem, is that he's the only person who's taken an in-cap, and now that he's taken 2, if they get him dead, that's going to be no more distance points, no more multiplier, and it opens up a lot more room for the other SI hits in the map to do even more damage. So it's going to be a Boomer, Charger, Smoker, and a Spitter for this next hit from Team Quickcleans on these Survivors, as they go inside with a Boom, Charge, Spit, landing in fashion right there onto Mess, in-capping him, and iPad. You're seeing each hit just do a substantial amount of damage now.
It's hurting, man. It's hurting. Having slow survivors just gives an opportunity for the infected team to hit you over and over, and that's exactly what we're seeing. The fact that most of the team members are so super key, it's really slowing them down, and they're having to eat a lot of hits. So it's not what Team Insaccs need at the moment, especially with the kind of health they had after that tank, as the Hunter rolls in. A good pick off for the Spitter, but maybe with one of the cleaner hits taken by Team Insaccs so far. But at this point in the stage, they're going to be quite a few points behind.
Yeah, and when you have a team that is as experienced as Team Quickcleans, there are a lot of ways that they can win games, right? Like, you play them on green ping and they have an amazing survivor side. You play them on high ping and they have great special infected chemistry. That is the kind of pick your poison scenario that you've got when you play against a lot of the veteran teams in the tournament, and I think that the difference so far has been that special infected cohesion and the ability to respond to survivor pacing to try to get the game more controlled from the special infected side, and to continue that trend, Team Quickcleans has a jockey, boomer, smoker, and a charger. Looks as though they're gonna maybe save it for the second archway here, but this charger is repositioning, looking for something, but the survivors, I think, are actually just gonna take the bridge choke and then make the infected hit on the ladder.
Yeah, I'm not too sure where they aim to hit. I think they're letting them bleed out as they get to the top of the ladder and maybe seize that opportunity to get a few in-caps here with Itos and Pyro essentially making their way down to 1 HP, and Mess was on the way there also. So I think they're just going to let them bait it out a little, and they have found a set of pills, I believe, that Itos has popped it being black and white, so that's lucky for him.
That is very fortunate for Team Insaccs, because, like, I was looking at that, it's like, yeah, okay, he was at 1 HP, and the survivors, you know, survivors are still pushing forward into infected that have waited for them to get there, you know what I mean? So the special infected have that entirely under control. However, that charger's gonna land off a pull target at the bottom, and the boomer is actually gonna get popped by the down survivor in a turret kind of fashion there. Jockey coming from the top now, too, looking to get something, but as long as one of the survivors is picking that other survivor up, however, that's actually going to be a down onto Mesk. I was going to say, as long as one of them's picking up and the other two are looking upward, it wouldn't have been an issue, but now it's a big issue, because that jockey and smoker almost landed the winning double cap right there, and that spit's going to go in there as well, even more damage now. Going out onto Team Insaccs. Pyro, though, using that ladder to his advantage. Hunter going for a couple of scratches. I mean, this is a resilient round from Team Insaccs, but they're going to find themselves behind by several hundred points, I think, going into map 2.
Finally making their way into the safe room here. The charger lands and nearly manages to get a pound on Ellis. The boomer finishing things off, and the jockey going for some supplementary scratches here, but won't be able to successfully do so. So I suppose with a team like Quickcleans, one of the top seed teams in the tournament, you can't really let them get out of grasp, especially a team with high caliber and quality. You have to make sure that they're within reach, because the more you let them get away, they'll keep scoring more and more points and put a substantial amount of lead onto their board, because they only get better throughout the rounds.
In addition to that, Haunted Forest being a 4-map campaign with a wonky finale, it's like Haunted Forest is one of those games where map 1 and map 2 are deceptively important, you know what I mean? Because on map 3 with 2 tanks, it's like, so long as each tank is able to get about an in-cap, and obviously the metagame has changed over the past few years in terms of that room that everyone fights the tank in on map 3, but it's like, if you don't make that map with some kind of bonus, like I would expect in a game between even teams for both teams to make that map with a fair amount of bonus, but if there's any kind of wipe there, you instantly lose the game almost, at least from what I've seen, because that map is worth so much in terms of distance and health because of the 2 tanks you have there, and then the finale is literally Pandora's box turned into a hallway. Like that finale is hell on wheels, depending on how you play it. But we've seen a lot of Survivor teams make great amounts of bonus on all sorts of servers there. So we'll see if that is replicated in this game. It's going to be a late tank.
Have we changed the scores yet, though? We haven't changed the scores yet.
We did not change the scores. However, I feel as though in order to do that, we would have to restart this. That's going to be damage going out on Team Quickcleans as well. I mean, we can get it at the next half round. Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to do it at the next half round.
I guess the argument could be made that if your team Insaccs and you're looking at the score, it's like, are we really behind by that much? And the answer is no. The answer is almost.
Almost. They are essentially behind by that much, though.
Well, it's also something where, like, at least in terms of my idea of what you should be doing in terms of a team's mentality, right? It's like, okay, ignore the scoreboard. Like, it's a new map. Just try to do whatever you can on these hits. See what we can make work. And they have a quad cap now, as a matter of fact, for Team Insaccs. It's going to be a jockey, charger, hunter, and a smoker for this hit, and it looks as though they want to go when the survivors are working their way outside. We have a jockey going in from the back, going to get shut down right away. Hunter gets blown out of the sky by Josie. We do have a charger landing in the back, but that's the only damage to speak of really so far coming from iToss.
Well taken, first 2 hits. I suppose they were quick to ready up, weren't they? I really wanted to change the scores, and so was the Aussie team. Looks like Team Quickcleans just wants to get this over and done with quickly.
They have done a really good job of getting into their rhythm so far, and so long as they don't take any kind of what I like to refer to as stupid damage in these open field hits, they should be able to push a fair amount of this map without an issue, but that's going to be an issue with a double boom landing with a pounce spit on top of that, but the spit was a little bit delayed onto that Hunter, and the jockey was not able to follow up. iToss still has 21 damage so far, but overall, Quickcleans have to be real happy with how this map has gone so far.
Yeah, Spitter was a little out of position. I suppose you could have capitalized Hunter landing with the 2-boom there and followed up by a jockey maybe like they had done for the first hit of the last round, or the second hit rather, but unfortunately that wasn't the case to be, so we've got 3 survivors, 3 infected rather, still on 0 points.
Hunter, Charger, Smoker, and a Boomer for the next hit from Insaccs here as they push into this arch choke with a little bit of an added flourish from our beloved Haunted Forest attitude at the camp. This alarm car, they can try to play off of it because survivors, they're gonna go forward. Like Quickcleans, I think, are gonna fight that tank like right outside where the event happened. So the infected should be looking to capitalize on this area now, considering the fact we're probably not gonna see it again. That's gonna be a Hunter going for a DP from the back. The Charger's on top. Smoker's at the car, trying to get a pull in front now too. Charger's gonna go in, managing to latch. Beautiful clear though. Nice skied as well onto that Hunter. That's going to be a good shutdown aside from the Smoker. Trolling on the card, looking to pull the Boom Survivor into it as well. Essentially just slowing them down, but looks as though Josie has come over from the back. Beautiful clear onto that Smoker without triggering the alarm.
Good survival play here by Team Quickcleans. They're actually shutting down things as they are known to do quite well. So this is good stuff to see, and maybe a bit of something that Insaccs can take aboard with their survivor play and positioning.
Coming into this tournament, they were, as we mentioned, in terms of Team Quickcleans, coming right off a Grand Finals loss, but they were playing just amazing Left 4 Dead 2 in that tournament as well. Like, this is a situation where they can really roll on that momentum, make a couple small additions to the roster, but right there, you see Yumi moving up into the woods to kill that jockey, pushing that Spitter as well. That's another beautiful shutdown right there, just amazing survivor positioning, and I do believe they are going to get a chance to hold out this common horde prior to this tank starting.
I haven't seen a survival team put this much pressure onto infected. It's more flip side at the moment. Team Quickcleans are really putting Team Insaccs on the back foot here with survivor player. The Boomer gets bunted and killed. Oh, lands a single boom proxy onto Ellis.
They have had complete control of this map so far, and that is something that I love to see, you know, just from a spectator perspective. Like right there, Smoker gets cleared, jockey shut down, spit lands on nothing, it's a single proxy boom, and that's all the special infected has. It's impressive to me because it's a one-game series, you know what I mean? And like, this situation where in the first round you've got teams that are obviously spread out in terms of their ranking, it's a point for the teams that have been seeded higher to prove that they earned their seeding. Like, as you continue going on to week 2 and 3, you're gonna start seeing the clear, the clear map of the tournament take shape, I would say, just based on how teams perform. And if Team Quickcleans continues this, they're gonna be in a great spot to continue competing for those tourney championships. But that hit is not gonna do a massive amount of damage again. Hunter Skeet going out, single boom, charge whip, same story so far I've had. This tank has a lot of work to do.
Insaccs losing a bit of focus here, not putting too much effort into coordinating their SI attack. The Boomer did start off pretty well, but then the Hunter got skeeted and tried something ambitious but didn't work. But like you said, being one of the finalist teams in the Euro Nations tournament, I suppose Quickcleans are coming into this Quarantine Cup with great momentum. Another Hunter being shut down.
This is a situation where, and we'll talk about it more, I'm sure, as the game goes on, but that map 1, as I said, being deceptively important, it's like, even though it is just map 1, it's worth a lot of points because it's a 4-map campaign, it's long, and also if the tank doesn't do any damage, you can see a massive amount of bonus. That's a Boomer shutdown going out. This map, as we can also say, again, 4-map campaign and also custom map is worth a lot of points, and right now the one thing standing between Quickcleans and a lot of those points is this tank in the hands of Mesk for Team Insaccs, and we do have an Insacc War Room, if I remember correctly.
War Room's there, but we'll be tuning into that War Room on their Survivor round, as what I've been advised by as Quickcleans are opting to run this tank back again. Maybe looking at AI this tank, which will most definitely be an AI, so... This is all going to be mind games for Team Insaccs here. They're not going to be too happy, I know, about their tanks being AI'd twice now.
This is going to be real close. The SI hit is going to try to slow them down, but is going to get blown out of the sky once again. This tank needs to, like... I don't even think he can cash him at this point. Like, I thought he had a shot at it right there at first, if maybe he didn't go for the hittable, but he's just going to be bought again. So that's 2 maps in a row that we've seen Team Insaccs tanks send AI. The question is, how far back is Quickcleans going to go? Like, they gotta know that he's bought by this point, so they stand here in the open field, they take good position on there, and then you hope you don't get boomed. That's essentially what this boils down to.
The way they're setting up at the moment, they look like they want to get a lot of pre-commit damage on this tank, as the tank rolls in, already losing about 30% health as a boomer fails to land, picks up another rock, which is quite unfortunate, losing 40, nearly 50% health at the moment. This might even be a no-hitter. The SI needs to start rolling in at the point with 10% health. That nice high pounce by iToss and a charge that lands onto Ellis, but the tank is going to be dead with 10% health left. Another no-hitter by Team Insaccs.
And that's the situation where it's like, okay, so long as AI Tank doesn't get a corner, I mean, in this instance, AI Tank didn't even get a punch, but so long as AI Tank doesn't get a corner, the rest of the survivors should be able to run around, juke them out. There was a momentary double cap there that got immediately cleared, and that is demoralizing if you're on the special infected team right now. That is really demoralizing.
Definitely demoralizing. I'm certain Team Quickcleans are showing no mercy at the moment to Team Insaccs with
yeah, and I think the reason that they went back is that they stood there at the mouth of the fence, right, staring down at the tunnel, and it's like Tank was staying back in the tunnel to avoid chip, and the survivors just held ass. That's really all it was. Where it's like, okay, force him in and have complete control of how this game is going to play out. You know, that's Quickcleans' mentality.
Another scary amount of bonus here. We're looking at upwards of 1,000 bonus at this stage, as they've got a couple of hits to make the safe room. I'd imagine about 2 more hits and they've got the safe room, or 3.
Horde, so, I believe, is already taken care of.
Definitely finished,
yeah, so this is easy now for Team Quickcleans to work their way through. You know, even though they have the ping that they do, they have no common to deal with, really, aside from what's already pre-spawned in front. Hunter's gonna go and manages to land. Pounce Spit is going to go down with a jockey there, so really nice M2 as well. Really nice M2 coming up.
In the get-up animation, getting a button is not that easy, so
that's on 180 ping, too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That was a nice play.
1,068 bonus, and I'd imagine only 1 more hit going into this, and I don't think they're gonna have a... I'm not too sure. They might not have another spitter for this hit.
Looks as though it's going to be that 3-1 with Boomer, as you mentioned. So, yeah, the only real massive damage potential here is if a double charge lands, and I do not see that in the future, unfortunately. There it is. Never mind. I didn't see it in the future, but it happened anyway. That's how you know the caster curse is real. Cursed. It's real. It's alive. It's 2020. That's what we have to say about that. What I also have to say about that, however, though, is that was the final hit, and Team Quickcleans on this best of 1 LA game are going to break that 3. Actually, are they going to break that 3,000 point margin?
Under, actually, yeah, just under. Add that 1,600. Just add that to your the points you added earlier.
Right. So it's 1624 plus 1256, I believe. Yeah, I might. The thing is, casters are notoriously bad. We are notoriously bad with math and luck. So I just need to go and see. Okay, yeah, 2280.
Sorry.
2880. Yeah. 2880. That looks right. Okay, so it's actually 2,880 points for Team Quickcleans. Still a beautiful start. That's averaging 1,400 points a map to start this game. And in a best-of-1 series, that's about the best you could be hoping for. Another nice hit, though, coming in with that pounce in the corner. Boomer proxy onto Pyro. That's a lot of damage from a 2-2 iPad.
A lot of damage already rolling onto Pyro. I don't think they were really expecting an early hit there. They've been caught off guard there, but they are quite adamant to move quickly through this next choke, but they're still going to have a hit up at the next staircase. Good hit by Team Quickcleans.
Heard me say it once already on the cast as well, but this is a situation where survivors just need to stay focused. Unfortunately here, charge spit landing on the corner, and then everything just stacks. Everything follows up on Coach there. You know, special infected attacks have changed over the years, obviously, but there are two ways to get beautifully coordinated damage. One of them is a multi-cap, and the other one is a chain exactly like that. Pin the survivor and spit, send everything else on top of him, but don't give him god frames, and just hit him in order, and you've already almost got damage for the map.
It looks like Team Quickcleans aren't really waiting for those chokes. They're just getting as much damage as they can prior to tank spawn. You clearly see they didn't even wait for the staircase at the second hit. They just went early, and Team Captain really copped it, losing about 40 health.
The survivors are going to look to push forward here too, and again, the SI probably have what they want for this choke. It's going to be a Hunter, Charger, Jockey, and a Boomer, so lots of separation potential, lots of potential for Horde, depending on whether the Boomer can land the... And if you're on the survivor side now, you know, playing with 160 to 180 ping as they are, actually, the upper end of that is actually like 170. They gotta really be in control of their pacing. But again, right here, that's a double boom landing, Hunter getting cleared, Charger gets a couple of pounds. Now the Jockey does land on Rochelle for a split second. Point being made is that still, even on the special infected side of things, Team Quickcleans are making this their game.
Reloading.
Yeah, they're rolling a lot of damage onto to Team Insaccs at the moment. It's going to hurt them when they fight that tank. I'm actually interested to see if they're going to AI this tank. A bit of revenge maybe for the first two maps. I'd like to see what they're going to do for this tank. And we might actually be able to get a war room going with Team Insaccs. I'm pretty sure I've told them that map 2 will be going into their war room. So I'll be moving Vanilla into that channel so the viewers at home can quickly listen into what currently losing team's mentality for finding a tank week.
It's going to be a case of, okay, you know, if we hold S back through the map and the tanks hold W, can they catch us, right? And it's like, I think the answer is probably yes, so long as the tank doesn't spend any time LOSing himself in the tunnel. But first, we're going to be having the Smoker looking for a pull on the alarm card, not going to land, Charger's going to miss as well. Spit goes in, not finding much of anything, but we do have a separated Rochelle in front. Hunter going in for some kind of DP here, not going to land, but the Smoker has a repull onto this car. Some lag going out from Pyro there, it would also seem. If I'm survivors here with this health, I don't know if I want to run back quite as far, but I do like that area. Maybe picnic bench if there's no hittable, I don't know. Tough to say, because there's a lot of potential for damage, not only when they're running back, but also if they have to come back forward.
Reloading.
Right, yeah, so we're going to be heading to that Insaccs war room in just a second, but first I do believe we have an event to wait out with a Charger, Spitter, Boomer, and a Jockey, 14 Quickcleans. This is also really important, because I think the way they take this event is going to dictate whether they run far back or if they stay here or what they do on this tank fight.
You know this shit's gonna get loud.
If they take any more damage, I'm not in favor of going back. That's essentially where I'm at.
Yeah, I think at that stage, if you take too much damage during this event holdout, you should just stay forward. The charge and misses, Spitter gets shut. Boomer just chilling at the back, I suppose, might be able to get a jump spawn maybe, or over the fence.
Looks as though he's actually gonna wait. The survivors are actually going to clear this out over by the cop car in this open area. That's going to give the SI spawns above them, but as long as everybody's looking at a place that makes sense in terms of spawns, the survivors should be okay in terms of this, because they're just going to plant Rochelle on top of that semi-truck cab. They're going to have Coach blocking that tree spawn to the left, and then, you know, so long as they're able to get some kind of clear on the Smoker, for example, they should be fine. And indeed they are. Smoker gets cleared, Boomer pops, Spit misses, and this Hunter is going to be looking for a DP on its own, I would say. And it is going to find it!
Oh no. I was just about to say, the last couple of hits have been taken quite well by Team Insaccs before that momentary,
that happens.
yeah, momentary lapse in focus by Mesk on the truck.
That's unfortunate because that 22 damage right there, it's not quite enough to have Rochelle commit her pills, but it's also opening that question again, where it's like, okay, here's Pyro sitting at 41 HP, ITOS is at 38 prior to committing pill. If they want to go back and have one person already bleeding, they can do that, but then the other question is maybe they just don't want to deal with that at all. Smoker Pull is going to go out, is going to land, but it's not going to get killed as of yet. Jockey's going to go in now too with a Charger looking, Charger going for a long charge, going to land it onto Rochelle. That is more damage, and now that, again, more damage means more questions here. 3 survivors slow now prior to the tank. I don't know, iPad, I'll be interested to see what they do, but I'm not feeling too good about AIing this.
I felt like they took those hits pretty well. It's just Rochelle just kept forgetting to look for that last spawn that caught her off twice. Yep. Caught her off twice here. They're going to get a 2-2 just before the tank. I think they'll be using this one more hit. The Boomer lands. The Hulk gets a cheeky one boom around the corner, giving the SI another chance to get a quick hunt spit, I'd imagine. As Rochelle gets pounced just around the corner, and the spit will also get a death spit on Rochelle. That's going to be an in-cap. That's an in-cap.
See, it might not have been apparent in each individual hit there, but first the Hunter, then the Charger, then the pounce spit with the death spit on top of it has put Rochelle into an in-cap. That's now 2 sets of pills committed, one by Pyro and one by Mesk, and as they're walking into this tank fight here, they gotta be real careful, because if they try to take this tank right back there at the fence, like I think K3 put it best last night when he said either that tank does a massive amount of damage or it does nothing at all.
Charger landing. That being
beautiful
said,
triple cap!
I want to move Vanille into
go.
the wall.
Go.
Take you. Oh, you don't have pills. Give him pills.
I don't got pills.
No, Mesk does.
Alright, sorry.
My name might get slow though.
Watch here.
Climb up here.
Come back, come back.
No, I mean, like, someone just watch me, bro. Because, I mean, there's no point. We have to fight the tank here anyway.
Alright, just play on you.
Yeah, I'm coming to the fence then. One boom.
Oh, not again!
Coming in. I'm gonna beat that tank. Watch the spawn, just go back.
Charge.
You're safe. There's a rock coming there. Rail. He's dead. Nice. We need to pick up some pills.
I saw some pills. I'll pick it in.
Yeah, nice play on.
We are back.
Vanille back.
That was a tank in the hands of Thug Life right there, only getting a couple of punches in that wide open air. Team Insaccs still alive, they took the in-cap onto Rochelle, but iPad, that was essentially a wash, I'd say, for that area.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I thought with the health they went into that tank fight with, especially with the hit that landed just as the tank spawned up, as this hunt spit will land. Spitter not being killed this time, actually balancing on Coach's head. I thought that tank should have done a little more damage. The infected went a little early as opposed to support the tank, but I don't think whose tank was it? Was it Joe's?
Thug Life.
Thug Life wasn't able to capitalize as much as he could have, considering the amount of damage they did pre-tank commit. So
In case anyone is
Honestly, I think that just illustrates the difficulty of the area from the special infected side. It's so open, and it's like you want to send your pinners in to set something up for your tank, because no matter how good the tank is, it needs help getting a corner. We do have a single boom going out, and the survivors are going to hold this. It looks as though the infected, though, are going to say, you're going to bait, we're going to hit, and we're going to 3-cap you with that Hunter landing, that Charger landing, and that Jockey getting the in-cap from before. That was almost a death onto Mesk, because Mesk is at 5 health black and white, trying with all of his team's might to keep this bonus towards that safe room, because they're so close, but this delta is getting further and further as we go. Next hit for Team Quickcleans is going to be a Spitter, Boomer, Jockey, and a Smoker around this corner. And as I mentioned before, Mesk is indeed black and white. Now at 1 HP, Boomer lands a nice boom from behind. Nice railing jump, though, by Rochelle to stay alive right here, despite that Smoker in the front. But that's going to be an in-cap on the Pyro.
Another in-cap for Team Insaccs, and I suppose the Jockey will get a scratch onto Rochelle, possibly being shut down. So as they crawl into the safe room, desperately Team Insaccs make it with still a bit of bonus, 110, but nothing compared to that of Team Quickcleans that dropped 1,000 bonus in this round. With one more hit still to go.
They're getting M2 in the corner. Charger lands in the back for an in-cap onto iToss, and the Hunter's looking for this now, landing onto Ellis.
Not dead.
Rochelle is a 1 HP black and white, M2ing. Oh, Mess is still alive. The spit's gonna go in. Oh, there's the death. There's the death onto Rochelle, and another in-cap going out onto Pyro. I'm gonna give Team Insaccs credit here, though. Even though they're behind by the amount that they are not giving up. They're trying to make the safe room. They're doing the best that they can here. And like I mentioned, map 3, if anybody wipes on map 3, that can turn a game. But we are going to see a wipe here on map 2 from Team Quickcleans being pushed out onto Team Insaccs, bringing the total score for this game to a wide margin of 2,008. Yeah, it's like 2,800 to 1,147, approximately. And we are going to adjust the scores now. If there's any time for Team Insaccs to make something happen, it's the first tank on this next map.
Yeah, it's now or never at this point in time. 2k deficit, it is not impossible as you're going into round 3 with 2 tanks. But they need to make sure, maybe if they can just wipe with their first tank and make the safe room with a bit of bonus, we could see a bit of turn of events for Team half New Zealand, half Oz.
It's difficult to say, right? Because this finale, as I mentioned, I remember the days when there used to be an early tank there, and I think there are still early tanks on finale, but there would be points where one team gets wiped in the safe room, right? Somehow. Like, say they get wiped in the safe room, then if the other team doesn't wipe and the tank happens early, then there's no tank at the bridge, and it's so long as you don't get meme charged or death pulled or like jockeyed over a cliff or something like that, like you can easily make up anywhere between 1k, 1.5k on that map, but that is entirely dependent on the tank spawn and entirely dependent on Team Quickcleans, you know, deviating from what they've shown us so far. And I don't think they're going to, at least from what we've seen in terms of the momentum. That last map kind of just added to their case there. And yeah, I think it's 2880. Yeah, 2880 to 1147, according to what we saw. And we're being told to go check it or something like that by Team Quickcleans to the admin staff there, which is not as ideal. But I think if we just do some quick now, like I said, Caster's bad at math and bad at other forms of logic, but if I scroll back through chat history, I might be able to grab it. Yeah, 2880. So it should be 2880 to 1147 in favor of Team Quickcleans. And from there, you know, 1,700 point difference, just about. If Team Quickcleans makes this map, I think we could be seeing the end to this first round game there, depending on what Team Insaccs wants to do. But like I said, so far, you know, they haven't given up. We've seen matches played in this tournament as well, where teams that are probably newer to competition than some of the higher seeds they're playing against have decided to play the games just for experience's sake. And in an ideal world, when you're trying to get better at anything, especially competitive Left 4 Dead 2, that is the way to do it, I would say. Just keep getting that kind of experience, look at what Team Quickcleans is doing well, and use that to bolster your playbook going forward, I would say. And we are going to be going live with the third round here of this first round game on Haunted Forest Quarantine Cup 2020. As I mentioned before, Quickcleans on Survivor side and Insaccs on Special Infected. This first tank is going to be the static piano tank, I believe, for Team Insaccs as they roll this first hit in. Jockey's going to go and get shut down. Hunter coming from a far ways away, going to get shut down, and that's going to be only 2 points of damage on the board.
Another clean take.
Quickcleans, I mean, that's the way to do it. And we're going to be looking at infected rounds for both tanks here for Team Insaccs as well. So we want to hear a little bit more of their coordination, this time on the special infected side. And you know what? Don't give them the option to say no iPad. I want to hear this. I want to hear it.
some teams can be a little morally down at the moment, but with this tank one, I haven't heard anything from ITOS yet, so I might just put Vanille back into the communications of Team Insaccs.
Let's do it. Let's hear how Team Insaccs plays this.
Oh, the bomb.
Low.
It's
I guess smoke is fine.
I don't think go for the early smoke.
No, just like either wait for tank to corner someone. If he doesn't, I might get rid of charger.
Yeah, I'll smoke someone if you can't get anyone cornered, that is.
Yeah, they're pretty well.
I'm gonna try and wall kick on the go in. So I'll go first. And tank just still my target.
I mean, if you landed like early hunt, just
I'm gonna go and get an AI at half.
if I get a if I get a boomer, GG.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
he's
got
got
it.
it.
Nice Sheffy. Nice. Long arms.
Oh, damn.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. That was the tank in the hands of Pyro for Team Insaccs.
Alright.
The first of 2 tanks on this map. Getting a decent amount of damage and a nice triple boom coming in right now as well. iPad, what did you see from that?
Good long arms there by Pyro. SI supported that tank, I think, fairly well. The jockey landing in the safe room, and Hunter does get cleared early, but the tank did manage to get a good few punches. It is a bit of a hard tank, and the spit Hunt lands on the Josie at the front, and that charger actually takes him out of the spit. I'm not too sure if you want that, but one of the harder maps to AI tanks, am I right?
I mean, last night in my match, I did see an AI tank on this particular map, but in order to AI the tank here, the SI are the ones who have to be intentional about it, right? Like, you have to be like, okay, we're gonna have this tank spawn somewhere far deep into the map and maybe park it there, similar to the place that this tank for Team Insaccs in the hands of Key has spawned. So.
I'll hand it back over to Team Insaccs to have a listen to what their war room sounds like. Now, keep in mind, Key is the brother of the first tank, Pyro.
Alright, second brother tank, here we go.
Ding ding ding. Alright, let's see if I can get this. No, I'm not gonna make it!
Oh, yo,
he's
I am probably gonna go in.
That's the commit.
GG, bro.
GG, go commit.
Oh no. Yoki and
Oh my god.
get out.
They're hunting.
Oh shit! Just get up!
I'm good. I'm still on first, so
Get up!
if you can like,
Keep pouring it on.
Get the
Chill
boomer,
on
get the boomer, bro. You can't shoot through that wall. I'm hungry.
yeah,
You can't shoot through
I'm
the wall.
safe.
Oh, BL.
Oh!
Idiot. I'm gonna get the curve.
Oh! Hello.
Bruh.
I will have
Go
to
in.
use this though.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, go in now.
Oh,
Okay. Oh, I missed! Shit!
Trolling. Noob.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. That was the second tank of this third map for Team Insaccs in the hands of Key. Getting some nice damage there, but not maybe as much. Like, it was a good tank, but iPad, I think they could have had more.
They could have had more damage, and as we were discussing while we were left out of that war room, I think that tank had the potential to recommit with about 50 to 40% health left. Maybe playing a bit of goalkeeping wasn't in the best interest of Team Infected.
That's a nice hit right there, though. All kick, spit, smoke. This is I have really liked the way the Team Insaccs has played on this third map. You know, you get behind by almost 2,000 points, but they are essentially sticking with it and just setting their hits.
Weapons over
Yeah,
here.
they are, and honestly, so long as something on Survivor side so long as Survivor side isn't entirely catastrophic for Team Insaccs, they could match or beat this bonus, I would say, from Team Quickcleans so far.
Yeah.
There's still a fair amount of map distance left to go too, and even if it's not going to result in a win for the match, it's obviously going to help them out as a team going forward, I would say, to keep putting up this kind of performance despite the delta.
Yeah, and in the Swiss round, it's all about momentum. The momentum you carry into the next round. The first round always going to be tough for a lower seed team. Obviously, they're going to be ranked up against a high seed team, but I suppose a learning lesson is just to keep the momentum going, because there's a long way. There's 6 rounds in the Swiss, and the tournaments are going to be, 38 teams, a big tournament, and the charge
Nice double charge. With a jockey intercept!
So you see a bit of momentum shift for Team Insaccs. We're actually landing a few good hits now. And so it's something good to carry on to the next few stages of the tournament.
Yeah, Thug got the melee swing onto that charger, and then I think he thought it was dead. Like, you saw him turn away, and he thought the charger was dead from the melee swing that he put onto it, but that charger had a little bit of health left and was able to get that charge completed before that intercept hit. And that's going to drop Team Quickcleans down to all 4 slow here. M2ing this boomer, though, not going to get hoarded on that hit, and they only have about 1 more hit before the safe room. So long as they can withstand it, they'll be alright. Nice pound spit there, Josie. Unfortunately, not able to secure that speed. And that's a down on the Thug.
He thought he got out of that spit, but couldn't escape the spit spread. I don't think they've got a lot of bonus left here, Rails. I've only got a bonus of 90 from a map that actually offers you 1540 bonus. So if Insaccs want to demonstrate high-level survivor play,
I got these pills.
killing both tanks with minimal damage, maintaining a bit of bonus, this is the round to do so.
Indeed it is. That's going to be a smoker pull going out into the back onto Ellis there with a boomer landing as well. Nice try boom. Jockey getting cleared after a couple ticks of damage onto Thug as well. Charger landing in the back onto Sang, almost getting a slam. I will say though that when you have a match like this, right, with everybody on high ping, I personally have casted games that Team Quickcleans, or at least half of Team Quickcleans, have played on those. It's something that you really can only get used to after you do it a few times, right, in terms of playing on this kind of high ping. And I will say that just due to the nature of the latency, this is where you're going to see Special Infected play and team coordination usually win out in a 1-game series. We do see this hit getting blown out of the sky because everything came from the same direction right there. Team Quickcleans pretty beaten up after those 2 tanks, but they are still going to make their 3rd map in a row, bringing their total score to 3,612 points for the first 3 maps of Haunted Forest here in round 1 of the Quarantine Cup. And iPad, this is the kind of performance that we expected to see from them, and I'm happy to see them deliver.
Sure did. And I suppose playing on high ping, especially red ping, it's all about making safe rooms, and making it with bonus is just, well, a bonus really. High ping is a difficult type of gameplay to play. Team Quickcleans are definitely well used to, I suppose, playing on high ping compared to Insaccs, who is more of a new team. They don't play as actively, I suppose, and haven't just come out of a tournament. But it's good to see both teams, especially as we went into the war rooms of Team Insaccs. They're actually having some fun, so it's not just tilt sitting in that team at the moment.
It's important, and I think, as you mentioned, everyone's kind of aware, because when you have Swiss tournaments that have 6 stages, it's like, okay, in order to get any kind of feel for the tournament's geography, right, you have to essentially have these games that aren't going to be amazingly close, and that's always going to happen in the first couple weeks usually. As the Swiss rounds progress, the games usually get closer. That's going to be a Hunter wall kicking round right there, and again, we've seen this how many times from Quickcleans, but there's one SI landing and the rest following it up, and that is essentially close to 70 damage on one person.
They're pinning down one survivor. I think what's happening is the way they've got their positioning, they haven't got someone forward with the #1 player to help shut down SI, and so with the 3 lingering at the back, you can't really expect the front person to shut down all 4 SI that are thrown at him. So maybe a bit of lessons learned in terms of positioning from the survivor team. That being said, tank rolls into the hands of
Yumi.
Yumi.
Indeed, Yumi is going to be in the in the hallway here, looking to avoid chip as much as possible. That single boom did go out in the back on the tank spawn, but the horde is, fortunately for Team Insaccs, that is dead prior to the tank getting anywhere close. And personally here, I prefer separation 3-cap. Like, Smoker, Hunter, Jockey is probably decent for this. But, again, just by nature of the area, it is so easy for the survivors to kite and chip and just not take any real damage here. Looks as though Quickcleans are going to be committing this with that early Jockey actually managing to land. But the tank whiffs the corner onto Coaches, missing punches now onto Nick prior to that early pull. Landing once again. Hunter gets cleared in the back, but the tank whips a punch onto Rochelle. Rochelle doing her best to kite out of this key, though. Gonna get punched there, but that's gonna be another rock landing. Only a down and a little more coming off of that first tank for Team Quickcleans, Pat.
A slow clear on that smoker's tank. I'd have to say on Pyro. I think both two survivors were actually trying to shoot that tongue, trying to clear it. So I think that could have been a bit of a cleaner take, while the other survivor was still hunted. So bit sloppy from the survivor side, but not too bad considering that they've still got 3 survivors quite healthy.
No massive multi-cap, no double boom, no double punches. Essentially just that down going out. But now we have this charge spit landing onto Key right there. And it's going to be a Jockey looking for Nick in the front. Pyro kiting around right there. Not quite able to kill it yet, but now does get the kill into that corner. Let me tell you, iPad, I know this now from experience, but there is nothing more intense than trying to land a 200 ping Jockey on Haunted Forest on a solo survivor.
If you know...
You know.
With my SI, I love bunting jockeys.
I mean,
don't rely on me to land my skeets. Don't rely on me to level my charges to pop burns. But there's one thing you want to know me for is the bunt jockeys.
I mean, name me a more classic combination than Left 4 Dead 2 and M2ing SI. Like, come on now. That's what we love to see, but I can definitively say that the one SI on Team Quickcleans right now that is not M2able is this tank in the hands of Josie, currently working his way around, jumping off that balcony, looking to push the survivors back to this same tank spot. Haunted Forest is rare in the Left 4 Dead 2 community for a few reasons, one of the reasons being the fact that this is the only campaign, so far as I remember, that has a map that's a non-finale that has 2 tanks. However, Josie is looking to make this potentially the last tank of the match. If the teams are playing only 1 to 3, we will see. Hunter looking for an early cap, not gonna land, getting skied out of the sky. Smoker gets an early pull, but the tank is busy cornering Rochelle instead. Not gonna be capitalizing on that smoke, getting the initial lockup and the in cap onto Key, turning back around, looking for a long arm. Jockey's gonna land. Tank tries to punch there, not gonna get it though. Now gets the rock and the follow-up punch and the in cap onto Pyro right there. That's a nice amount of damage coming out from Josie's tank, and that has also put Pyro black and white.
So I think there's that charger land solo charge. This bit won't be in time, I don't think, to do as much damage. A bit of an opinion on that early smoke rail. Do you think it's worth it with this tank on high ping to pull an early smoker out?
Thanks, Ro.
It really depends on if it lands, in my opinion. Because last night in my game, and I think in one of the other matches, we saw teams go for it and having it not work. It makes sense with a room that large, I think, to try for it. But if it misses, then it's like, okay, they know your smoker's in the front, they know it's spawned, and they probably chipped it somehow. That smoker, however, does not get chipped before setting up a nice momentary dual cap right there. No spit to go on top of that Hunter and Jockey, however. I will say, in that particular instance, Josie was able to get the corner on his own without the early pull. So I'm not sure if that was miscommunication or not. Doesn't matter, it worked out. But an early down there, as you saw, just really turns that area into a different story for the Special Infected, because after that early in-cap, the tank was able to get another in-cap off of that, and essentially putting good damage for that tank. That's also decent damage on that hit, despite the fact that Charger was cleared. Hunter's going for a solo survivor in the front right there. Mesk was the last survivor with fast, green, permanent HP, and he doesn't have any of that left now. He's going to be slow, too.
Not sure what happened in that tank fight, actually, because they actually got an early skeet. I think Artos got an early skeet on the Hunter, and they already knew that the smoke was at the front.
Yeah.
But I think they just kited the tank wrong and gave an early corner, so I think a bit of misplay by the survivors. They could have capitalized on it much better than they had, as the Charger sets up at the front. Nick is separated by his team and will make his way back down to make sure his team members are together. I think they get a quad off this hit. I may be wrong.
They're looking to go
no,
now. I mean, nice double cap. Aki's gonna land, Smoker's gonna land again as well. That's a lot more damage onto Mask, who is the highest permanent HP left, but is no longer. It's actually gonna be ITOS.
Oh, this damage is gonna be a double in-cap of that too.
Yeah, so here is some interesting map knowledge. The survivors cannot jump on that railing. There is an invisible wall there that prevents the survivors from kiting that, and Pyro tried to get out of that spit to no avail, unfortunately. So this is actually going to be another map that's going to be won by Team Quickcleans here on map 3. And I agree with what you said, iPad, honestly. Like, after that early Hunter Steed, I thought that was going to go the survivors' direction, but then unfortunately, you know, one of them backed up into a place where the tank could corner them, and then they managed to get another rolling in cap off of another pin, you know? Yeah,
definitely. And the survivors may be wiped here with the charger punch.
They are.
Living daylight out of Rochelle there, and Coach goes down in the process too. So, another tidy round by Team Quickcleans, really putting their authority on this round.
Yeah, 3,612 to 1,701 going into map 4 of Haunted Forest. The only thing now that would be a saving grace, I'd say, for Team Insaccs to pull off one major upset would be that early spawning tank, but as I mentioned before, I'm fairly sure that that just doesn't exist anymore. Like, it might still exist, but it doesn't exist in the same fashion that it did on Pro Mod either, because on Pro Mod you had slowdown, on Zone Mod obviously no such thing.
Well, that's what I was casting a match earlier. I think it was 5MO. I can't remember who they were versing, but they had a bullet squad, I think it was, where they had a 29% tank in the finale. But obviously, that being said, there was some confusion. But we played out the round just to prove that it was just a static spawn anyway. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, because the early tank here used to be abominable. Like literally, all the survivors would do is they go to the safe room, you shoot up the hallway, and then if the tank has any more than 4k HP by the time it gets inside, you die. That's essentially what happens.
How early are we talking? Like inside the staircase here?
Yeah. It would spawn when survivors. Yeah, it would spawn before survivors drop. They would be able to either take it in the drop area here or back in the safe room. And like I said, you know, slowdown helped. But if the tank had a certain amount of HP by the time it got to the top of the staircase, he just died. Exactly like that Hunter being skeeted right there by Thug Life. This has been a nice display from Quickcleans so far. One game on this server, practicing their high ping, doing a nice job of juking out that entire hit. Beautiful job by Josie, I would say. And honestly, like, they get 20 points of spit damage, but you saw how well Team Quickcleans, Josie in particular, handled all of those cappers right there. Yeah, and you can see the difference between how their team is leading with their positioning of survivors compared to Insaccs at the moment. A single player isn't being caught out by all 4 of the SI. The teammates are ready to cover, the teammates are ready to trade fire, and you know he's well within reach of his teammates if he needs any help. So it's something to look forward or look at if you're playing a survivor team. Make sure you're not too far away from your survivors. You're playing number 1 because you don't want to be caught out in no man's land. There's this Hunt and Jockey get a bit more damage.
Reloading.
This is going to be interesting to me as well, because I want to see how Quickcleans take this finale. At least back in the day when you were playing on Red Ping, right, there are a couple schools of thought that come down to how you should play that on the Survivor side. The first one is, duh, your ping's higher, play more conservatively. But when you've played with a team for a long amount of time, I would say you get so familiar that even with the higher ping, you don't change a massive amount about your Survivor system here. Like, you play good positioning, you stand on the side, and then when you can, you take advantage of gaps right here. That was not one of them, however, because Josie goes forward.
Big damage is common.
Gets charged
a lot of health.
And spat on. That was actually a prime example of what I was not describing. That was not what I was talking about. That being said, though, we are going to be
damage rolling now.
Yeah, I mean, Quickcleans are going to be able to clear this next part of this choke and then probably take some kind of 3-1 here, but actually, yeah, it's going to be that Hunter, Charger, Jockey, and a Boomer for Insaccs. This is where the survivors can kind of play it to their advantage by just lining up over here and watching the spawns above. The thing about this finale is because the survivors have to run, and they also have spawns above them at all times. Depending on whether or not the SI can hit a multi-cap, there could be a massive amount of damage here, iPad.
And the Boomer is absolutely crucial for one of these type of maps where, as you can see, the Boomer lands a good double boom as the Jockey heads in, lands, and the Hunter trying to pick someone off but gets killed in the Charger unable to find the spawn. They're jumping around for joy. But yeah, as I said, the boomer is just as important as a spitter here, even for these tight corners, because if you can land a nice double or even triple boom, your SI are quite well set to maximize damage with the relentless amount of horde coming in.
It's an interesting scenario, to say the least, there, because, and only because, you know, if that charger goes in, by the time that he would have been in, the other SI would have been cleared, and without a spitter, the only way to really get damage with pinners is to land at the same time. So that might have just been like an unfortunate situation of him not getting a spawn. But this time we're going to see him go in with that double boom landing, and he's going to miss that charge onto Nick. That was so close. But I probably would have liked to see the and it's easy to say now in terms of Captain hindsighting because it did no damage, but I would have liked to see that charger go in on the hit before that.
Yeah, definitely, because not sending in an SI, you have to keep in mind the sack order you're going to get for the next hit, and on a map like this, I suppose the 2-2 can work, but you kind of want to get at least 3 main cappers on this hit with a boom or a spit, so having a 2-2 didn't really help him out. You know, the boomer did lead and got a nice 2 boomer, this hunter lands against the seed quite early. I also haven't seen a death charge here. The charger is going for a death charge. Ooh, that would have been good to see just towards the end of.
Oh yeah, I mean, dominant performance, as you just said, by Team Quickcleans. They're pushing forward to this tank spawn, and are we going to be seeing one more Insaccs Worm for this?
I'll drag him in just in case.
Sounds good. So the tank's up in the hands of Mess. Let's go over that Insaccs Worm and hear how they play this tank.
Reloading.
I'm gonna have to go in.
Yeah, just go. Help. Yeah, I got one. Yeah. Guys, punching out.
Ooh, that's the deal.
Come on,
Yeah.
come on your feet.
Unlucky
That's
with it.
unfortunate.
Use these
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. That was the final tank of the game. 14 Insaccs into the hands of... That was Mesk, I believe.
Mesk
yes,
was,
indeed.
yep.
Yeah, and so, at this point now, Quickcleans are still alive. Honestly, iPad, that tank is one of the hardest tanks to get damage on against a good team that I've seen.
Those logs aren't easy to control, let me tell you that. I mean, at first I thought there was an opportunity for Mess to get a death punch on Josie, being pulled right up against that. I think he hit a little too much to the right as the hunter goes in, misses the pounce and gets cleared in the process. Charger misses, spitter misses, and the boomer gets shut down. Another good take by Team Quickcleans as they make their way to the boat with a whopping bonus of 740. That will take him into the 5k mark. Spectacular performance from the neutral server match.
100%. We are going to be seeing Team Quickcleans continuing their momentum as a team. We'll see what they can build on for week 2 as they push their way down this final choke of Haunted Forest. Charger gonna get destroyed before landing. We have a tank spawning in the back with a smoker pull as well. Survivor, I saw this in my match yesterday. It's no problem. Just get on the boat. That's right. That's how you do it. That's how you do it, man. Like I said, no worries whatsoever there. 5,012 points for Team Quickcleans on this one game. Best of 1, a high-paying LA server affair on Haunted Forest we're seeing right here. You love to see it in terms of how well some of these teams do.
Yeah,
showing again.
Yeah, you got, like we said, you gotta love a high-scoring game on any map for that matter, and especially if a strong team really proves their ability. You know, team. You can't take anything away from them, you know, being the finalists in the Euro Nations tournament, like we've said, and bringing the momentum into Quarantine Cup 2020. They're definitely putting their foot down, showing and proving themselves to be one of the main contenders in this tournament, especially the Swiss stages.
Honestly, I think it gets to a point where ping is still an obvious advantage or disadvantage, right? Like, there's no disputing that. However, there are ways for teams that have played together long enough, as we're seeing this first hit get cleared there, that Hunter getting shut down, Jockey bouncing around down at the bottom, trying to support this Charger. Charger might be able to get around the corner, but the survivors are wary to this now. They can probably hold S without taking a massive amount of damage. The Jockey dies. Charger's gonna look for a short pin here on the Pyro, though, and it's gonna land it. See, that was unfortunate because the first 2 pinners were shut down. But demonstrating what I
that one.
was talking about, though, ping is still obvious as an advantage or disadvantage in terms of latency, but what ping can't take away from you is the ability to attack as a team, play tank, and coordinate effectively. That's what you've seen from Team Quickcleans on both sides here, on Survivor and Infected. And even right there, with 2 SI spawns getting shut down, that Charger's still able to land against the wall, still able to get 40 damage, and make every single hit count. And that's what you want to see from a team that see it as highly as Quickcleans in this tournament.
And you could not have said it any better. As further it gets to a point where if you've been playing long enough as a team, the ping is only just one of the many obstacles you have to face when competing, especially on a competitive platform in tournaments such like this. But you know, we've got quite a few regions around the world that are, you know, have faced and make it look like easy, like European teams, South American teams. They make it look very easy playing on high ping, and so it's definitely very attainable to conquer playing on ping, I suppose.
Oh, it is, and this quad cap right here from Team Quickcleans, it could also be within their reach, depending on if the survivors get thwarted or not. It's going to be a Smoker, Hunter, Charger, and a Jockey for this hit from Team Quickcleans right here, looking to come from the top of these choke points. One in the middle, one on the left, one on the right-hand side. Charger looking for it on this ledge, as a matter of fact. And the Smoker's going to pre-spawn in the back, taking a good deal of chip. Survivors working their way forward. Now Charger's going to spawn, jumping down, jumping up on the railing and landing it. Gorgeous. Gorgeous hit right there. No quad cap, but that Charger's decision to jump on top of that slightly raised siding is what got that charge to land.
Yeah, and a bit of lack of awareness. I noticed Coach ran right past the Charger without even turning around, so I'm not too sure if he was paying attention or not. But Mesk should have been able to call out the fact that there was a Charger rolling in, at least running team some type or an indication, call out whatsoever. But that being said, it wasn't too badly taken. Hunter lands on Rochelle. The spit actually gets on top of the barrels, and he's actually smoked just above the spit. Luckily lands on the skirting.
Once again, though, that is an example of, even on a 2-2, some kind of damage being gotten by having the entire hit go on one person. And the amount of times we've seen that from Team Quickcleans, I think just gives you a good idea of how locked in their special infected coordination is, at least I would say. And so far, they're still up by 3,000 points. I want to see how they play this tank as well. It's going to be up in the hands of Sing, and they have some chance to do some major damage, not only in this tournament, but with proxy booms like that, how could you not? 10 damage pants, 10 damage pounds going in. Charger not going to land. Jockey does land, however, and that's another set of pills committed, honestly, IPAT. We've seen it time and time again.
And I suppose I have a question for you. Just having played this round and have won, what would you think? Is it easier with 3 Uzis? Is it easier with 2 shotguns as you're running through map 4 finale of Haunted Forest?
Personally, I used to be a fan of Uzis on ping, but when you have a situation like this where the map is so enclosed and there are so many quick spawns, I'm a fan of shotguns here. That might also be an American thing, because the Americans were the ones for years that ran the 4-shotty lineup. But like I said, the tank is so hit or miss in this open area. More often than not a miss, honestly, if the survivors are able to get to the right spot to stand and not eat a hittable, because the hittable only does 24 damage. You know, I think it's worth to take shotguns for the entire crescendo part of this through the gauntlet, and then if there's an Uzi switch up here, then you take it, because then you're transitioning to the outside. But I'm actually more of a fan of shotgun on ping.
That's the American side coming out of you, mate.
Well, this is interesting though, because the survivors are no way out of this tunnel. And the tank spawn. That's one other thing to mention, is that this tank is on
going
time.
right in front of us.
Oh, I didn't see it! iToss didn't see it! iToss is gonna be down! That's an in-cap going out. Yeah, Sing for Quickcleans is the tank, and the tank was on a timer when the survivors dropped into that first area.
That one common, gotta get a double punch onto Rochelle and Coach, as Pyro gets hunted on the other side of the big rock.
This is a wipe. This is definitely a wipe. That Charger is going to land as well, and that is going to be a picturesque end to this best of 1 series. Team Quickcleans taking the win over Team Insaccs by a score of 5,012 to 2,277. So that is the higher seed, showing some dominance on Haunted Forest there, iPad.
An absolute dominance from Team Quickcleans, as you'd expect, I suppose, going into a higher seed and low seed team fighting off for round one. But there were a few moments of light for Team Insaccs there. Nothing to rule them out of the tournament as of yet. They're still early days, and with the way they fought the first tank and the way they did SI damage on the third tank, it definitely proves that they've got potential to take on some of the teams in the tournament.
I would completely agree, and the reason for that is this is week one. Like you just mentioned, this is week one, and over the next couple weeks, the likelihood of a lower seeded team being paired against a higher seeded team, barring some kind of forfeit win / death win, unpredictable Left 4 Dead 2 shit, is not going to be very high.
Yeah.
So for Team Insaccs, they take this loss, they take a look at what they did well, they take a look at what they did better. It's their first full match as a team. Just go and take a look at it and then move on to the next game, honestly. Like, don't think about it too hard, because it's like, okay, you're 0-1, but you're getting paired against most likely another 0-1 team next week on Dead Air, which is probably a more familiar map to some people, and just go on from there. Take it, alright, it was a one-game series, we got beaten by one of the best teams in the tournament, and what can we do now to improve? That's the only way to really
Well said. But yeah, that's a wrap, folks. Thanks for tuning in to round one Horn of Forest between Quickcleans and Insaccs, where Quickcleans showed a dominant performance, winning by nearly 3k against the young Aussie / New Zealand team.
Indeed, they did, and we'll be bringing you more matches from the first round of the Quarantine Cup today, I do believe. Looking at number 1 seeded Frag4's match as well, I believe, later tonight. And for me here on the East Coast, this was my this was my warm-up match.
This is your warm-up
for the early cast tomorrow that I'll be doing at around 7 a.m. Eastern time, and also huge props to Vanel for being in the same city as that server we were just playing on, that sweet LA 7:30 a.m. time right now. After kicking off at 6 a.m. So huge shout out to tournament administrators, tournament staff, casters, and streamers, of course, server hosts, and the teams, and UiPath for joining me on this early morning cast.
Likewise, Rails. Best of luck for the remainder of the teams playing out through round one. Thank you for joining us.
Indeed, and we'll see you most likely later today for a continuation of the action.
Yeah.
Hope to see you soon.